What? You've never tried Silesian cuisine? Oh boy, do we have a treat for you. Because of the mixing with and borrowing from Czech, German and Austrian food, Silesians created and are still perfecting their unique cuisine. Go to a restaurant or a local tavern, and even though you will have a full stomach afterwards, you still won't resist that second helping. And don't you dare leave Katowice without trying Silesian dumplings or kluski śląskie in Polish. With the characteristic hole in the middle, dumplings are best served with meat, goulash, which is gravy with meat, and kapusta, which is cabbage. Being in Katowice is a pure pleasure for your eyes and your palate.
Oh, I love that video. Joe Miller, you have got me hungry for some
Can he like host a cooking show or something at some point?
With meat.
I certainly hope so. And if you're hungry for more League of Legends action, check out the YouTube for IEM, www.youtube.com/IEM. You can check out all the VODs of the games that we've already cast and the games that have already been covered and exactly how we got to this decided match in Group B. Bring up the bracket for me, guys. I want to take a look at exactly how we've progressed to Fnatic versus QG. It is the match that is coming up for shortly. SK Telecom 2-0 their way through the upper bracket. QG dropping to SK, and now they're going to face Fnatic after Fnatic just beat CLG. Deficio and Monty, we heard a lot from you guys during the course of the game and the series.
Too much.
But what are your expectations on Fnatic's chances now? Let's start with that question and then we'll dial it back.
So seeing as Fnatic were honestly pushed back by CLG in almost every single game, had to go for their 55-minute long game 2 to bounce back, and CLG had some really poor calls that Fnatic could punish. QG is another monster, and they have shown to be on a higher level than CLG in this tournament. So I'm concerned for Fnatic, also because they just played a full BO3 and now they have to jump into another one.
What do you make of the fact that there was a long stalemate against QG earlier? I mean, this is a rematch of Fnatic versus QG. Does that matter 4 hours later, Monty?
No, I mean, QG is going to be coming in fresh here. And I think what we've seen from QG is they've adapted to these lane swaps very quickly, very efficiently. Have they been a little bit behind at some points during this? But they are putting out more in the early game, not suffering the same kind of deficits they did in the LPL. So with that gone, there's still a team that can win those team fights. They're still very mechanically gifted. And I think that this should probably be pretty easy for QG to close.
Well, QG are on the blue side. They will be starting Uzi. Let's quickly pull up the team sheet just before we start breaking down the pre-match intro in a little bit more depth. V, Swift, Doumbé, it is Uzi as the starter ADC and then Moore the support. Just before we went on air, Deficio, you were talking about the fact that Moore has got his primary champions in the 2 games that they've played.
Yeah.
Is Fnatic going to let that happen again?
I mean, you have a situation where Cly has favored the Thresh, which is a champion Moore can play, but he's just so much weaker on any champion that's not Braum or Alistar. Both games QG has played so far, there was a ban on one of the supports, but then you didn't first pick the other support, or well, QG first picked Braum, and then in the other game against Fnatic, or SKT started, they first picked Kalista, gave the Alistar.
That said, what I did actually like about what SK Telecom did was they banned the Victor and then pick the LeBlanc. And what we've seen a lot from QG is Doumbé either playing Victor or the LeBlanc. And so they deny that pick. Faker very confident he's going to be able to play that into what was effectively a blind matchup at that point, because we didn't know whether the Lissandra was going top or mid. But as soon as you see the LeBlanc come out, you assume the Lissandra is going mid because it's a good matchup into LeBlanc in the first place. Faker didn't have any fear in that particular situation and just went on forward. And Doumbé's champion pool is something I feel you can attack.
And that game as well, QG versus SKT with the Lissandra pick coming in. Doumbé clearly knows exactly what to do in the matchup. Corruption potion, TP, like early push, force the potion off Faker, then recall and TP back in lane. That was smart. The problem for QG was, and this is where we can again talk about the lane swap, they got the basics of the first few steps down, something they did struggle with back in the LPL, but clearly they have learned. It's when you get to like step 3 and 4, and you have to go for the second tower, third tower. That's where QG against SKT really messed up in aiming for that second bot tower instead of actually just taking the first, taking the first bot tower in the bottom lane, and then give the wave to Poppy and then go top and go in for tier 2 there. That was a big mistake, but it's mistakes Fnatic can do as well. It's not like Fnatic are perfect in lane swaps. I actually dislike Fnatic's lane swap right now.
Fnatic have fallen behind in every single game that we've seen early on. They've, been susceptible to tower dives. They've not really built up any sort of lead from that, but they have managed to find team fights that bring them way back in? Maybe they found or their opponents have let a team fight happen. Like, you know, you're arguing semantics to some point. But Fnatic, they've played from behind multiple times. If QG get ahead, are they that far away?
I don't know. I think that for me, when we mentioned, or Martin mentioned this in the last game that we were taking a look at there, which is that Fnatic has a tendency to take the farm and put it onto Reckless, right? They're not going to give it over to Gamsu on a lot of these tanks. But if we look at how SK Telecom actually beat QG, they concentrated the farm onto the top laner, denied V, and that was a better ticket to victory because they could get these big carry champions fed and split pushing very efficiently. Fnatic doesn't seem to want to do that with the lane assignments of their member and where they like to put the CS right now.
And it's such a weird swap. Again, we understand you want to play 2v2 with Reckless on this Jhin pick, but you're behind in experience when you do it because he's fast pushing with 3 members in the start, so he's actually weaker when he goes into 2v2. And against QG, just to answer your question from earlier, if Fnatic falls behind, can they win late game fights like they did against CLG? I'm going to say no. I think there's a massive difference between late game QG and late game CLG. Because CLG have been struggling in these fights, also picking the right ones. When they should be split pushing, they tend to go 5-on-5 or delaying their own TPs from the Vladimir in that last game. QG is just so much better late game. I feel like you have to beat this team in the early to mid game. And that's why Fnatic messed up with their lane swap last time these two teams faced each other.
So let's take a look if Fnatic can get their hands on that. I think we're getting closer to starting picks and bans. We talked about Mora's champion pool a lot today with the Braum, the Alistar, the Morgana. The Jhin is a new one now for Reckless, picking it very early on in the draft, 2 games played against CLG. Let's see if he's feeling confident and comfortable to pull out again, because Reckless has been a player. Reckless has been a player that has defaulted to a single champion when available in the past. And as you mentioned as well, Kalista. But Fnatic are on the red side, and they are playing against Uzi, which means you have to consider banning Kalista.
You have to consider it. Uzi is a very different beast compared to Stixxay. The first ban coming in, we talked a little bit about it before going on air here, is the Rammus. And this is not because Rammus is insanely overpowered in the top lane. I feel this is basically saying, oh, Gamsu, you played Rammus 3 times in a row.
Comfort.
I want to push you on something else. I want to see if you have the same impact without that Rammus TP home guard, powerballing in and flash taunting on an AD carry to win these fights when the team was behind and other teams were overextending. So I actually like this first ban, also on blue side where you can target ban.
But what about Nautilus or Nidalee or Kalista? Because
I think that's a big concern, but it's a possibility that QG wants to first pick Nidalee here, just given the fact that they have Swift. The Corki ban's a little weird to me, considering that Fnatic really played poorly with the Corki earlier on. And again, that was only their 2nd pick with Corki this year. So do I think it's a power pick? Absolutely. Has it been successful for Fnatic? No.
Well, maybe the risk of them finding their sea legs after that CLG battle is the fear from where QG are coming from. Taking their time on these bans, despite the fact that QG have had an extensive amount of time to prepare, watch every single game, and they remove Quinn, which is used by Febiven in that defeat of a CLG.
Wait, I don't know.
Tell me how you really feel.
Like, the thing about Quinn is it's not a flex pick for Fnatic because Gamsu is mainly just playing tanks over and over. Or if it is a flex pick, I would be happy as a team saying, Gamsu, go ahead, play this Quinn. Against a team who doesn't play around their top laner at all. Both supports with Alistar Braum are open, so Fnatic clearly saying we want to trade. These 2 supports would maybe even still go Thresh, and they just don't want to waste any bans on it. But it's against Moore, it's been his best champions.
Well, and they did first pick that Braum earlier in the day, and it looks like that's what's going to be their comfort pick here. They are going to give over Kalista Alistar, which I wouldn't do.
You have to first pick Kalista.
I would take the first pick Kalista here.
You have to.
It was Braum into Kalista Gragas. That was how it played out this morning when QG played Fnatic and won.
It's going to happen again.
And if Fnatic just plays a standard lane swap in this game and then don't value that 2v2 so highly after the first tower dies in the swap and just plays it normal, mirror, keep fast pushing towers, then you will still get that Kalista in a strong position where she can be a bully. You don't have to aim for 2v2.
Right. So if we are going by game 1 of QG Fnatic, it should be a Nautilus Lucian, which are both still up and available.
And probably will be the 2 picks.
Yeah, you have to assume those are going to come through. We may just have an identical draft, honestly.
Also that would be fantastic.
Also with the Rammus ban, opens up for taking away another big tanks up top that Gamsu likes to play. His fallback, we have seen a lot of Maokai being played, but obviously nowhere near the same impact as a Nautilus. Otherwise, we might see a Graves top against his Nautilus pick again, because then you actually have a winning matchup for
I would
Gamsu.
love it. I would absolutely love it if that was a possibility. And just say, you know what, just GG, and see who makes it. Come on.
there it is.
Nautilus Lucius. Oh man, I really hope this happens.
So, are we gonna play Thresh Kalista
I
to
love
have
it
a
that
strong
this-
2v2?
That's this game of chicken right now to see. Fnatic.
No, changing.
All right, they are changing over to that Echo now. It's worth noting that the Echo was also picked.
Lee Sin actually.
Oh,
Fair,
okay.
yeah.
So we're
Throwing us
mixing it up.
off. Okay, you see, we got so excited about the rematch story.
I mean, it was close.
It was real close. Swift deciding for the Lee Sin over any of the alternative junglers, knowing his opposite number, and not revealing anything more, right?
I love watching Swift on Lee Sin. The synergy that he has for turret diving with Doinb and what they can do to opposing mid laners is pretty nasty. So could be bad news. Febiven has to think about what kind of pick he's going to want to take here.
Yeah, and the good thing about this pick is you don't show any solo laners, which you would have done picking Nautilus. So now Fnatic has to decide, do you want to give Gamsu a matchup where he can get counterpicked, because he will most likely pick a big tank, or the Graves, or do we want to have Febiven potentially set him a bit behind? I'm sure Doinb would love to play LeBlanc here if he gets the option against it. So Lissandra could actually be a good pick for Fnatic, because that can work into the LeBlanc. But deciding to pick the Nautilus top. Is Fiora coming in for V if he wants to play split push?
That is a hell of a front line. Nautilus, Gragas, and Alistar.
Yeah, they're going to need more damage, though. And they had the Ahri in game number 1, but I would prefer to see something a little bit more, with more sustained damage for some of these later game team fights.
As the Fiora we just mentioned, I mean, I like Fiora into Nautilus so much. Yes, okay, the early levels where Nautilus has high base damage can be slightly annoying, but he's not going to kill you, and you're just going to outscale him completely. Trundle is also an option into Nautilus. We've seen that quite a bit this tournament, steal away some of the big tank stats, and you also work better in a team fight then.
Yeah, that's true, but considering Gragas and Alistar are also here, it's not, you could turn the Nautilus into, you know, as Krepo would say, a piece of paper, but you still have to get through some other champions there too.
Oh, I'm a Fiora fanboy anyway, so this was their original pick.
Yeah,
they
I
also
think
go for it.
I think in this particular composition of Nautilus, you have some maybe squishier junglers or supports, and you can actually just take out that Nautilus immediately. They don't have any other tanks. That's when I think it does shine a little bit more.
All right, so what is the final pick for Fnatic? We've got the Fiora, we've got the Lissandra, you've got a strong split pusher, you've got decent wave clear with that Lissandra and Lucian. Pick potential, very powerful pick potential.
I was about to say that long range is good against Lissandra. That's obviously not what LeBlanc will offer. And even though this is a matchup a lot of mid laners like to take, it is very much a skill matchup in mid. It's early push from Lissandra, TP back to lane, try and force these potions away. But Febiven and the rest of Fnatic with Kalista, they want to play early game. This is what we talked about. Do not go late game against QG. If you are Fnatic, so I like this a lot more. Very, very strong early to mid game. Coming in for Fnatic.
If it can be executed.
That's obviously then the next step.
That's the next step. So do you believe Fnatic can? Or will QG win game 1?
I'm going to say for game 1, no. I want to see it from Fnatic before I believe it for possible game 2.
I totally agree. I think that just from what we've seen from both Fnatic and QG today, it makes it very unlikely. And I think Doinb, we saw the Dark Seal coming out very early on in that last match. It does give him more health from the corrupting potion, so it does win those trades early.
I want to see Fnatic, though, lane swap on Fiora to keep her down.
Okay.
Don't do this crazy swap around where you let her sit and farm up top lane and you send a poor Nautilus in there who's already behind.
So
no, keep her down.
There are options, but you are predicting QG. You are predicting QG for game 1?
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Against the fan vote at home, they are predicting Fnatic. No real surprise there. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead to a new TriCast, but as we do, short break.
Oh.
I actually like both comps.
Boy. Yeah.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen.
That's
How
sudden.
you doing? I wasn't expecting that. That
Yeah,
was
it was
a
just,
little
dunking
sudden,
in my-
But it's a good job with professionals, and we're always ready for this one. Joining me is the Mitches. I got one on the left and one on the right. No problems, but a Mitch ain't one.
You sure you can handle so many Mitches right now?
Do you have experience with 2 Mitches at once?
I've never doubled up with the Mitches, that's for sure. But, okay. Starting off with Mitch, number 1.
Yeah.
That would be the little Crepo.
He was born first. So.
He's
Am
older.
I actually older than you?
Wait,
Yeah, I think so. I'm 20.
Crepo's older?
24?
Yeah, there it is.
He's a youngster, man. He's a
Almost
youngster.
26, by the way.
Jeez.
Back in my day,
Back in
kids
my
were only
day.
team fighting in League of Legends.
But anyway, speaking of team fighting in League
Yeah.
of Legends, let's talk about League of Legends. How do you find these two comps? We just heard what the guys had to say about it. Pretty an interesting setup. You were expecting a lot of team fighting.
Yeah, or just skirmishing in general. This is like the closest you can get with 2 lineups where the game can go into like a full scrim mode, where you have like 30 kills at 15 minutes. That's what I'm hoping here. Double ignite on the mid laners, double aggressive junglers, a lot of CC, 2 aggressive. At least this tournament, AD carries playing. You have the Braum Lucian, more on a comfort pick. Clyde on a champion that can actually face check and then get pulled back. So there's a lot of potential for skirmish.
Vion Fiora as well. It's going to be interesting. Of course, this is a guy who's evolved a lot, by the way. He used to be really a loose cannon, very much an inconsistent kind of player for Xiaogu. Now he's sort of evolved since Cologne, actually, become far more self-sufficient and able to survive on his own. And, well, he's on that Fiora, so I have to see the split pushing element does come into effect, even up against Gamsu on the Nautilus.
Yeah, very interesting setup. For Bivin on LeBlanc for the first time, I believe, this tournament. Getting to actually see him being aggressive instead of sitting back. Maybe he'll try his luck. We'll see how it works out. He's up against Doinb, who had the better of him first time around. Of course, this is a rematch of the second game of the day between these two. Xiaogu kind of, I wouldn't say dominated it. They were ahead. Didn't really do a lot. They had that 5-kill advantage and then just sort of sat back and let Fnatic farm for 25 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Different QG showing up to this tournament, at least. More calculated in the macro. Did show a couple of times. Especially in the games against SKT, sometimes what their good team fighting was, but then they kind of got out team fight by SKT overall. Early aggression here, power spike on level 2.
Yeah, Clyde just going to be backed away here as well. One more auto will start him up. I don't really think there'll be any capitalization there as well. And for Bivin again, getting chunked down for the second time by Doinb. You can see how much mana Doinb's going through. He loves that aggression in the mid lane. He really loves to try and push his opponent right on out.
Got a good chance here. Spirit's going to try and come around the side. Doinb should be able to get away from this one. Flash forced out early.
Yeah, he has to respect body slam flash right there. That's
Yeah.
why he flashes out. Because if then Febiven connects the chain and flashes after, it's 100% kill. So Spirit kind of mind gaming him there, saying, I'm not going to flash because you have to respect the fact that body slam can be followed up with
So
flash.
I had a conversation with Peke last night. It was one of those late night conversation, heart to heart. So I probably shouldn't share all of it.
Choose your words carefully.
Speaking of the flash in there, this sounds like it's going down the wrong alley. Speaking of flashing, I spoke to Peke. No,
Brilliant.
Talking to that, he was talking about obviously when he plays and like how he is when he hasn't played for a while, like his mechanics are just a little rusty. He feels so scared, and that exact moment there was what he's talking about. It's like when I'm playing, when I know I'm that good, I can like just judge it the fraction of a second. But when I think I play so scared, and he's like flashing really early, and obviously that was just great reactions from Doinb there.
Yeah, that was the ultimate respect. There are some cases where you can actually wait to see, like, do they cast a spell? Is the hook coming out? Is the hook actually coming towards me? Or where you have people that respect flash too much. But in that case, that was actually just, honestly, the only play left for Doinb to make, and he made it.
Spirit out of position here. Might get caught out a little bit of back and forth. They've both got the double buff, remember, so both mid laners are going to be looking for this one. He's going to jump onto Swift there. The Ignite was used out from Forbidden, and now Doinb's going to go caught out, but there is no follow-up, of course, because that Ignite already going down, but Forbidden committing. Flash and Ignite used in that exchange.
Ooh, that body slam was so close to actually putting Doinb locked out of his spell animation for the second E follow-up, so he almost didn't make it back to that tower. If Spirit connected that just a fraction of a second later, we would have seen first blood here on Doinb.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Forbidden play Ari today, and then obviously Corki, so it's good to see him on this LeBlanc, and you can see just in those small bursts, he flips the switch, goes aggressive, and really shoved, obviously, both Swift and Doinb right back. That's what Fnatic need to do. They need to bare their teeth. They really need to stake their claim all over the map, really.
I want to pick your brains a little bit while we stare at this bottom lane.
Pick at him.
I just want to know, I remember many years ago, Season 2 DreamHack, the classic CLG Moscow 5 era. We had so many discussions where my mind was totally opened up as a bog standard play-by-play caster to how this bottom lane goes, the little advantages that are gained all the way through it. How does that compare, say, all the way back then in Season 2, the DreamHack days, when you literally got crowd-funded to get there and went on to win it? How does that compare to these days?
Just everything that is considered an innovation or like a part of the strategy becomes standard right now. So many of these concepts just get ingrained and are considered basic knowledge by both teams. That's why it's so hard to, you know, just become better than your opponent, because League of Legends, like, especially with lane swaps right now, it's kind of getting found out. There is an ideal lane swap way to play the game, and it almost feels like you could code a decision tree. If X happens, then Y is guaranteed the best choice, and that is something that really wasn't there in Season 2. It was just completely underdeveloped, and I think like level 2 power spike, knowing exactly which experience you level up, you know, knowing how to use creep aggro to force push waves towards you, all these little things that you can play around with have become standard, and that makes, for me, like high-level League of Legends absolutely beautiful, but it's in the details, and it makes it so hard to actually explain to people without going on a tangent or a rant of like 5 minutes why it is in fact so beautiful.
It also becomes almost a danger that it becomes assumed knowledge. You assume everyone knows it because it just happens all the time. So it's one of those things that everybody just picks up. It's very impressive.
Well, luckily we got time for that. I guess plenty of tangent options here, guys. It's like ChiaoGoo and Fnatic just taking their time. You did see, of course, to the top side earlier. Gamsu tried to go in with the dredge line, but very much just an attempt to skirmish a little bit. Spirit sat near mid.
Yeah, with all these heavy like kill lanes, they still need the jungler to interact with them, because unlike Season 2, solo kills is something we very rarely see these days. So you need the jungler to come in, force the summoner, or at least take him down, and then you can maybe open up for solo kills. So unless Spirit and Swift can find a really good gang path here, we won't see so much action just yet. There's a lot of pressure though from Fnatic this game, and they need it, because if they don't put enough pressure to make QG break, then V just farming in that top lane, going even CS, that is just a big win condition, because later on he will spiral out of control and just shred through Gamsu completely.
Speaking of lane advantages, you can see obviously for Bivin, respectful first back bite, getting himself the some magic resist in there instead of going full on aggression. He has got that advantage built up for Doinb. Remember, they did force him back, which is where that's coming, but CS is working in his favor, and you know, as an assassin, this is looking good for Fnatic in the early stages.
Swift roaming down towards the bottom here, but I really doubt Reckless and Clive pushed too far forward, especially you saw Uzi then obviously did manage to proc the Braum passive, but Clive going to come forward here. Swift though going to come out from the wings, and there's the flash away. Clive is going to get exhausted, slowed up, and he's going to fall down a little bit too far forward.
Yeah, I was about to say, in this matchup, you never combo aggressively because you just open yourself a re-engage, and very often when you see melee supports against an Alistar, whoever shoots first loses. Like Leona into Alistar, you go in, they re-engage, they win, because they have they can space out the combo. Combo aggressively, that gets punished very often, especially if you consider the junglers there. So Clive with a crucial mistake, pressure getting to him a little bit, trying to force the play. You know, when a game is passive, you really want to open it up. To touch on that mid lane build a little bit, that is the standard trend these days on these picks like Lissandra and LeBlanc. They both rush the Abyssal Scepter, obviously get the magic resistance component first because it's a more efficient item. MR gives you more benefit than just raw AP because AP doesn't scale as well.
And while that was all happening, we did see Forbidden, of course, with that blue buff steal. Now there has just been pings from ChiaoGoo onto that blue buff, so they're like, okay, I think we have the timing on it, but you can see Fnatic already setting up for this one, so we may actually see a little bit of aggression here. Forbidden's certainly going to want to protect it. He doesn't want to get Doinb on towards that blue buff, and you can see Spirit already started it off.
Yeah, Gamsu's heading down towards the mid lane to kind of maybe do a little bit of aggression on Doinb or follow up. Fnatic think they have the blue buff under control, so they send Gamsu back to the top lane. Obviously, whenever you push first, you can always roam and assist your team.
Well, we can see here, it's good to see more attention towards the mid lane from Fnatic as well. You saw how hard they tried to get Reckless going in that last series early on against CLG. Now, focus shifting a bit. You can see a lot of back and forth here. There was, of course, the gank from Swift earlier on, but you can see both mid laners being forced to keep on their toes. And even now a bit of a roam down by Spirit, sat in that tri-bush as well. And Mora and Uzi just going to keep pushing this one in. You can see the pressure mounting, a bit of a CS lead for Uzi as well. So definitely feeling comfortable there, despite some interactions from other junglers.
Yeah, when these matchups never result into kills, having the ability to have the push is what nets you small results. Because you're always ready to roam first, and more importantly, you're forcing the other guys to CS on their tower. And while they're CSing, you can obviously chip away at the tower. That is kind of what League of Legends. This is the kind of the solo kill of the new age, you know, chipping away, a little poking, getting some vision when you push first, the little advantages, and then you build on that. It's no more as an absolute advantage that you get from just solo killing your opponent, because people just respect the damage ranges enough these days.
I learned never to say chipping away at a turret like it did in the CLG days, back in the old Season 2. It was a sentence I rephrased many times in one game, and then someone pointed out, I was like, holy cow, it's one of those casting things you do. But at the moment, speaking of chipping away, we can see, obviously, Doinb just
take the pink ward,
missing out that blue buff.
Cardinal Sin.
Not getting anything. And at the stage, I was about to make a point, and I've totally missed it because I got totally distracted by your Doinb, not Doinb, my chipping away. But anyway, speaking of chipping away, this bottom lane is slowly building up. More has tried to get this stun built up on. I was about to call him Clash. I gotta get
Clash?
Yeah, it's just my native tongue doesn't go that way. It's actually surname, isn't it?
No clue, man.
Yeah.
I think it's Clybike.
Yeah, Clybike. Yeah.
So that's the.
There
It's
you
not
go.
even his full.
Today you learned.
Full name.
Thank you. I can use this.
Probably shouldn't just give his surname out on air, but
No,
I mean, it's in his Twitter
nobody's
profile.
watching. It's all right. Yeah, it's kind of
It's
listed
also
everywhere.
comes up in lower thirds and stuff. So.
We're safe on that one, boys. We're safe on that one. So, just 100 gold between the two. Fairly slow, steady start, as we'd expect. 11 minutes gone. Not going to go crazy in this one. Spirit, though, you're in trouble. What are you doing here? He's going to try and catch him towards him. Kicks him straight into Doinb. Spirit, this is just messy stuff. Now, Fabiva's going to try and come in and lock on towards Swift there. He should manage to lock him down, but he's going to get away. The Ignite will finish him off. Fabiva goes in, but the rest of the team join the fight.
The trigger has been pulled now. Reckless just trying to back away. He's already lost Gamsu as well. Cly at least able to stave off some of that aggression. And V's want to press forward. So is Uzi, always chomping at the bit. Cly is forced to use that ultimate, of course, and get away. That was quite a messy one there. Look at this. Just at the beginning, everyone jumping in for that fight. Both these teams just want to get their hands dirty.
Yeah, Spirit really caught out of position there, honestly. Just walking straight into the ward coverage, face checking almost. Wasn't expecting it. Oh my God, he's going to go down. Clay will not get away. Does he manages to hang on and sticks around? That's pretty ballsy play there. Reckless wanted a bit of this.
Yeah, I was desperately looking for some mana, I think, to pop his E there. Has spears in nearly everybody. Moore doing a good job on this Braum, though. He really knows when to step forward, use that shield, soak up damage, but then steps out without dying. Still has the comfort of his flash available should he feel that he's threatened too much. And that's QG's bread and butter. Turning a pick into then a full-on team fight, you know, taking one guy down by overcommitting to him. It got countered in the SKT game when Wolf had that phenomenal Temper Fate on the jungle to kind of slow that process down. But this time, QG were quicker on the trigger, had the overview, convincingly won that fight.
Look here as well. Fabivan's actually managed to develop quite a significant CS lead in that mid lane. And you saw Doinb really pressuring him early on, and then Fabivan said, all right.
Now look at this again. Swift finds him, flash kicks. Spirit then gets Ice Tune. So at this point, you know, if Spirit somehow survives, it's actually really bad for QG because they've committed so many spells to it. Everyone follows in. Yeah, Swift trades, but QG's just ready for this fight a little quicker. Uzi comes in, and he's kind of untouched. He can really follow up on this fight. Reckless is forced to play super defensively because with an exhaust and a Braum next to you, you just have to run. You can't afford to kind of fight forward. And Fnatic obviously built very skirmish heavy, so they don't actually have that much damage for extended team fights unless they can find the pick first themselves.
If only Fabivan had some mana there. There was 4 people stacked up on top of each other. Distortion straight into him would have been beautiful, but there's the first tower of the game going down. It is going to China once again, as it did in the first game. So pressure on Fnatic early on here. Endurance will definitely be a thing. Fnatic just gone through that huge series. He's got a lot of support coming up down the river. He's not going to be expecting Lee Sin sitting in that bush, but it doesn't look like he wants to stick around. V is being given as the sacrificial lamb. Fabivan will be the one gifted the kill. And the mid laner gets himself second kill of the game.
Yeah, this comes at the cost of some mid lane pressure, though. Doinb finally getting some breathing room. Can chip away at that tower or hit the tower, whack away at the tower, call it what you want. Tower is losing HP right now.
Hit the damn tower, Pete. That was the original. That's where it came from. You were alongside him. Why didn't you encourage him, man? You should just.
Because he shouldn't hit, in that particular play, you should actually not hit the tower.
I know.
You
Actually,
were wrong.
at that exact moment, no, there was one time where he should have. 56 minutes in against WE. I loved casting your games. They were so entertaining.
Yeah, they were. Fantastic gameplay.
It's a nice way to put it, Leo.
I don't know. I mean, the meta makes him feel at home right now. But we do see the Rift Herald going down here. So Fnatic trying to get something from nothing here at least. He saw obviously a little bit of pressure on the tier 2 turret coming out from ChiaoGu, but as it stands, they have the lead in terms of turrets. Not a great deal of pressure on that mid lane just yet. Fnatic, of course, with LeBlanc, won't expect him to be burning down the turrets quite so fast.
Yeah, but if the gold stays even, though, we have to consider that QG can actually like that, because later in the game, the peel that comes out, the damage denial that comes out of this Braum pick will be slightly bigger than what Clyde can do in the team fights. And I feel like Fnatic will just simply run out of damage. Unless Febiven really lurks in the shadows and assassinates somebody, the continuous split push that from V will add pressure on the map. And if he ever joins these fights, he actually has way more sustained damage in these team fights. So late game, V is the guy to watch, and one kill on him isn't going to keep him down.
Yeah, already a decent start for V as well. He was very quick to get involved in that last fight. Well, to be fair, QG are more than happy to pile on in those kind of fights. And as you said, Fnatic want a skirmish here, so QG just want to close the distance. And they're going to get nice up close and personal to the Dragon and take it away.
Yeah, and this is a bit of a repeat of game 1. Fnatic just very, skirmish-oriented composition, but very little initiative once they fall slightly behind. So yeah, they did a fantastic job stalling with all those blue wards, blue trinkets, but they're not taking any objectives. Rift Herald goes to QG, Dragon now goes to QG. QG's ahead in towers. They kind of control the map, so Fnatic need to see if they can find an opening somewhere.
Yeah, very lackluster so far, Spirit. Don't get caught out again. Just ignore the pink ward. You know it's there. Just go back to it when you've got a time. Going beat, forcing the pressure. Instead, he's going to go to the Scuttle Crab and sulk in the river.
Just to point out, it was Fnatic actually at least managed to get the Rift Herald earlier on after their dive on top, so that's something for them. But again, it's all about using that. The buff is nothing but a pretty perfect around your feet if you don't use it.
I said QG took it. I'm a dirty liar. Apparently not paying attention. Even when nothing is happening, I'm still missing the Rift Herald.
I kind of pointed it out when I said it, but it's good that neither of you listened to me. Thank you.
I knew somebody killed it. I just didn't care enough for
you know what?
Scuttler.
You're a son of a Mitch. That's what you are.
How does that work out?
Well, I don't know. Maybe his dad's called Mitch. I haven't actually checked.
The Mitch the second.
Mitch the second, yeah. But this is going to be a tower. Fnatic going to trade this one. You can see the top lane is being pressured. There's going to be ChiaoGu, Uzi in there. Interesting to see Uzi continuing on in this team, by the way, as well. Pico, of course.
Why not?
Playing a sub through IEM so far. We'll see whether they get to the semi-finals and whether it'll be a change. There's a long way to go, though, because this is a best of 3, remember. And ChiaoGu got a long way to go in this matchup.
I mean, if QG were any weaker, we're working on towards this tower now, of course. Fnatic position, QG just definitely out of position on this one.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair though, if QG are weaker with Uzi or preferring not to use him, it's definitely not being exposed here against Fnatic. He's having a bit of a free run of it.
No, Uzi's doing fine so far. It's surprising that they actually get that tier 2 tower, though. They're now waiting into the signature Fnatic brush. Let's see if Uzi respects it. He kind of has to. Death Charge comes out. He can dash one more time, but he gets clapped.
All right, completely caught out. Gamsu's going to get himself the kill now. Moore's in trouble. He gets knocked away. That's going to be a beautiful little ulti from Moore, and he should be able to walk away from this one. Spirit does have his barrel and slam available. There we go. Moore will get away now. Fnatic, oh, they're taking a lot of tower damage, but it's all being juggled very well. Swift trying to get away from this one. It's a 5-man deep invade coming out from Fnatic. They're way behind enemy lines, but they're getting the kills. And as you said, ChiaoGu just didn't read that situation well. Hello, Febiven's going in. He's got the kill. Swift, oh, the lifesteal and shield. Is it enough? No!
Oh, they
Febiven gets another.
nerfed Lee Sin, so he didn't get lifesteal from Smite anymore. Not sure if he actually used it or no. Smite was on cooldown, so if he went for that, that used to be a trick. Don't think it's actually available in the jungle anymore. Didn't matter, didn't have Smite available, so my tangent is useless, but we have to point out Uzi dying with both heal and flash up there. He could have dashed, flashed, and just extended that fight a little bit more. I think he gets kind of caught off guard by the tick at which Death Charge hit. I think he expected it to hit for one more, or he expected Moore to maybe peel, but he could have easily jumped to Moore. Moore would have then peeled, Swift would have kicked, disengaged, and Uzi would have easily been alive, so that's a major misplay. We're talking about Pico. Well, if Uzi does this one more time, we may actually see him, because this costs a lot of momentum. ChiaoGu Reapers.
But it was, I mean, at the start of it was just a total mystery by ChiaoGu. They took the top lane turret and could have carried on. They could have gone like for like, but instead they tried to go down bottom way too late. Uzi just wanders on down, despite the fact 4 members of Fnatic had just been in that lane. So much lack of vision from ChiaoGu. So, some big mistakes being made by ChiaoGu here, giving the Fnatic fans, and I dare say there's probably a fair few of you in the crowd, some serious hope that they could make it into the semi-finals. But this is a best of 3. They've played a lot of League of Legends today. It's a bit of an endurance race for them.
Yeah. A lot of people in here in the crowd with Fnatic shirts on, definitely supporting them.
I think
we even had the OGN type of girl
Korean scream girl. There we go.
Whenever Fnatic made a play.
It can't be Monty this time.
It wasn't actually the girls.
It was just me.
It was just Demon all
Just
along.
me backstage.
And he would have gotten away with it.
We did have a theory upstairs that it was actually Monty, because we only ever heard it when Doe was casting. It was just Monty in the background every time. But that pink ward finally taken out, you see. He managed to return to it. This middle lane turret not got a great deal of hit points, and Chao got to be careful if they want to fully defend this one. They are going to step away. Doinb looking to try and make a play here. It's not going to get cleaned up just yet. Does go for the flash engage. That's going to get a stun down there. Forbidden just sidesteps, and now ChiaoGu, without a flash on the mid lane, some very, very iffy plays, and we know the Chinese like to fight.
Yeah, but they're committing to this so early when they have TP available on V. Fiora should just be in a side lane, farming, split pushing, going for the late game split push. Later in the game, 10 minutes from now, nobody's going to be able to stop V pressure-wise, so QG overreaching. Febiven did a good job dancing at the edge of that team fight. More action coming now.
But yeah, V's backed off now towards the bottom side. He's actually joined by Uzi, so both of them leaving that mid lane, of course. The tower being threatened. Look how low it is.
They can stick, because look at the top lane. It's being pushed in slowly. So someone from ChiaoGu will eventually have to peel off and deal with that, and this is just going to be a slow, steady siege from Fnatic.
Yeah, that's exactly what Fnatic's waiting for. They just want the side. They got the side lane pressure built up, and QG didn't really look at their minimap. Eventually, the tower will fall here. That's why they're desperately trying to force a 5v5 fight, at least before. But it's risky into this Fnatic lineup to force this hard from the front door into an Alistar and a Gragas that generally gets shut down immediately.
A matter of time, surely, until this tower falls for QG and Fnatic. You saw Spirit throw the ult in there as well, just to get a little bit of damage across and just kind of dissuade QG from coming forward. But there again, Forbidden really feels like he's activated a lot more this game. 3-0-1, but could be a fight here.
Goes straight in. Reckless has already been dropped, and that's going to be a great little pulverize. Forbidden comes in, the exhaust goes down. Forbidden picked up the side, and ChiaoGu proving they are absolute team fighting gods. Fnatic completely with that one. Absolutely destroyed. A 4-for-0 engage. That was just horrendous.
But yeah, you gotta criticize Fnatic. Fantastic play by QG. They played it by the book in that team fight. Really good opening from Doinb. But what were Fnatic doing up so far? All they had to do was continue what they were doing for the past 3 minutes. Just 30 seconds more. V was en route to the top lane. That massive wave was gonna be denied, and Fnatic were about to reap the benefits from their very long setup play, and they completely disregard the engage range. And Doinb, yeah, fantastic read there, just to go, because that was the only possible opening right there, and he gets it.
Business-like, of course, taking this Baron away. They probably wanted the tower to be alive for a bit. We saw Spirit goes in, trying to get the steal, but no good.
Yeah, and this is QG on the same page. They leave Baron on a roughly 1300 health, and then they block the body slam to make sure that Spirit can't get in with any body slam fast shenanigans. And here, Reckless simply overextending. Look at the damage that comes out, though. He drops so fast.
Gamster also knocked up, caught in the mix. Grand challenge on him, and V going straight for him as well. Klein last man up. Is the Spirit just out in front there. So yeah, again, just too far forward for Fnatic. We've seen multiple times actually this weekend. Teams are pushing forward, lingering towards turrets, and then defending teams use the turret as a bait, and then again flick the switch and come forward and collapse.
Well, you saw Fnatic try and sneak in and get the Dragon just before expected ChiaoGu to all gone back to buy, but a couple of members stuck around. ChiaoGu with the Baron buff have to be very much respected. Very early Baron, of course, as we often see, actually, from the Chinese teams.
And this, RNG, we're known for early Barons. QG, not so much. But yeah, if you ace them and Barons up, you know, why not?
Yeah, why not?
If we're on the way anyways.
Don't lose a single man.
Take it down. Really, really calm, collected Baron, though. That is the strength of QG in a lot of situations. They are on the same page. They communicate very well in very short time frames, and that's why I'm very impressed with so often with them. But right now, they just have a wealth of options. 1-3-1, sure. We have Baron buff on every lane. 4-1 with Fiora, sure. 2 Baron buffed up creeps in every lane too. We're playing against the skirmish compositions. One weakness that skirmish compositions have is that they have abominable wave clear. And on top of that, obviously this Baron buff adds AoE resistance. Yeah, Febiven can't clear. Reckless will have a very hard time. QG had their pick of the litter when it comes to turrets.
Swift trying to bait them in there, just off the side. Something I did see actually before that, Fnatic were trying to go for the old teleport bait. Does that ever work anymore? Do people still fall for that? You know, just pretend we're all going to be back into base. Somebody please attack me. Oh no, I've been caught out. I mean, this
Damsel in distress.
Yeah, exactly. This has been going on for years. Do people really still fall for that? I don't think so. V putting some serious damage down, pounding on towards that top tier 2 turret. Bottom one, of course, has dropped. It's a 4-for-3 advantage for ChiaoGu, and continuing to keep that pressure on with this Baron buff on there. The Cullen going to force Spirit away from it as they continue to just chunk down the towers.
Yeah, and if Fnatic can't really find a flank, they will have such a hard time going to this team fight because Domi can always self-ult, Moore can always jump in and deny some damage coming in. And look, QG, they don't aggress right here because they know, like, push it in the mid lane, back up a little bit, suddenly V's enabled in the top lane. So you know what, Feven shows up, I'll back off a little bit, we'll go in the mid lane, calculated split push here, 1 tower down, 2 towers down, looking for the 3rd here in the mid lane. As V starts pushing up near this inhib turret.
It's just unanswered as well. In tandem, it's V and then the rest of QG pushing forward in their respective lanes. And we talked about V earlier on in the game. We said this guy could be a threat. Doinb getting aggressive on towards Spirit. He's going to be shoved back a little bit there as well. Cly off to the side does need a winner's bite. And QG is always someone else to step up and lay down some extra damage. V, again, hasn't been answered yet. Now Gamsu's going to come up towards him, but it might be a Gamsu in distress if he's not careful.
Baron buff's just cleared. So I think that will be the end of the siege that ChiaoGu have been laying down here. They have got a wave pushed in pretty much every lane, so Fnatic will probably shove this one out. Still quite a long time on the Dragon, and 0 ward coverage is what Fnatic want to try and gain in their own jungle at the moment, but you can see this little clump of ChiaoGu just lingering in this lower half of the jungle. They thought they'd caught out Doinb, but it's actually a surprise party. Rekkles is just going to get dropped in seconds. Spirit has to get away from this one. That was such a big mistake by Fnatic. They were still all in the jungle. They had no vision. They literally just walked in there. They knew they were all so close. A little bit of screams of desperation from Fnatic.
Yeah, QG just turning Fnatic's aggression there against them. Really, really good read here by Doinb. You think you caught me? Nope. What was it? Check test that. Gamsu going down now. Feven desperately looking for a pick, but QG are sitting in an enormous amount of gold as well. They're approaching 10,000 gold, over 10,000 gold in their inventory right now when they base. So Fnatic do have a little bit of it on themselves, like 6,000, maybe 7,000. But this gold is already big showing in these fights. But when they base, they will get even more items, and V will become unstoppable in a split push, which means Gamsu will need an additional member to stop him, or V will just shred through him.
So we can call that a 10,000 Baron power play. See, you figured it out. You found a way. We don't need no fancy graphics here. You figured it out. But this was, yeah, I mean, this was simple aggression. And it was Doinb. Like, you're going onto a Lissandra. He's going to turn around in your face, especially when his teammates are so close by.
Yeah, but Fnatic just was choked out of vision, continuously being pushed up, no vision around. And yeah, either you go for Doinb, you try and kill him, or you just slowly wither away.
Which is what happened in the first game, first time around. Obviously, this is a best of 3, guys, don't forget. So it ain't over till the fat lady sings, but she's definitely warming up her vocal cords in this first game.
And the fatigue combined with this game kicking in for Fnatic, that has to be a big mental blocker, you know. Go down against CLG, come back in game 2, come back in game 3 yet again, momentum, everybody's happy, you know, we can do this. And then they lose in kind of this manner against QG, slowly being punished for one really big mistake and being pushed in.
Saw it favour TSM yesterday, but I guess it's just games that they had to play and rhythms that they had to establish there. And we saw evolutions from all of their team actually throughout that one. But a bit of a different story for Fnatic here. Yeah, this gold lead starting to look unassailable. Sub 30 minutes. And it's 10-4, of course, in kills, but more importantly, double the turrets, and that huge lead for QG. And they're just going to press the advantage. It seems they know how to do that right now.
Well, the big issue is that ChiaoGu are known for team fighting when they're behind in gold. You know, that when they're this far ahead, it's just a scary, scary prospect for Fnatic now. And ChiaoGu clearly just keeping them penned in. Fnatic trying their best to just try and make a play, try and catch anything, try and make something work out, but that's the top inhibitor turret going down. V just continuing this 4-1 split, and Fnatic don't really have an answer to it. It's a Nautilus versus Fiora, and Gamsu simply just can't compete right now.
Pressure in towards this mid turret as well. You can see there's a lot of farm on Gamsu. He's been out having to spend a lot of time up top side to try and counteract what V's doing, but it always seems like V is there getting damage on those objectives.
Yeah, the farm doesn't matter at this point. V is just ignoring him. It's Gamsu. Actually, never will hit Gamsu. He's just okay, you're hitting me, that's fine. You know, you might tickle a little bit, eventually take down a tower. And QG is not giving Fnatic what they want, which is a full-on fight. Every time they approach, they just walk backwards because they know 1v1, V has the edge. And that is the game plan. That's the name of the game right now. And they just walk around, hit these towers a few times, and Fnatic will soon likely go for an over-engage where they try to make the final play. That will result in a teamfight win for QG. That's likely how this game's going to play out.
All the objectives coming up there. Dragon and Baron now spawned, so we'll see whether they decide to switch across to that. Really is one of the only chances I can see Fnatic having is maybe a Baron misplay. Uzi, though, happy to tank out a little bit of that turret damage. Swift continuing both bottom and mid turret. Almost dropped here, almost deep commitment from the two carries for Fnatic there, but Swift just juking them around. And while this is all happening, V's still having his wicked way in that top lane.
Twinkle Toes, Swift able to get out of that one. And I think QG is showing that there's a difference between a team fight fixation and a team fight aptitude. These guys, we know they can team fight. It's almost a buzzword by now, but they also know when to do it. And the reason why Fnatic are here is because CLG made that mistake. You saw that was so far ahead in a game that they were looking to win. Got a little bit too deep. Fnatic started to activate and shove them right on back. Swift might be jumped here.
Well, Swift, can he catch him out? This would be a great catch. Take down the jungler just as the Baron spawn. That's the perfect play possibly for Fnatic. But the teleport comes in. Can they take it in a 4v5? That's the real big question here. And well, Xiaogu fancy it, but Clive hands Doinb in there. Doinb manages to lay the damage down, but Reckless, the exhaust at the back. Now he can lay the damage down. He's untouched at the back, but the rest of Fnatic's tanky frontline are struggling. V is just massacring them around the back line. Doinb turns back on them, and Fnatic in a 4v5 could not compete with Xiaogu Reapers.
Doinb got knocked into the fight by Cly at one point. He said, thank you very much, I'm going to snare everyone up. And then, of course, the follow-up from V getting in the back line. Stunning stuff. QG don't exactly need a full 5 to win that fight.
Yeah, and this is Fnatic just simply running out of damage to deal with the more sustained damage output that Lissandra can do, because she has so much AoE, and then what V can produce here. Looking at the death timers, this may very well be the game here. QG at least getting 2 inhibs down here. Looking at like 18 seconds, 4 seconds on Clive. So they're likely just going to push all these lanes down, return to the base, see if they just want to straight up end the game or go for a Baron play. But yeah, that was Fnatic's Hail Mary. That was their final play, but played it pretty well. Except for the dredge line missing on V. I think that could have been the turn for the fight there. As he lands from the teleport, the timing was just off from Gamsu. Now let's watch this again. You're gonna see Swift, but let's see what he's used. Like Body Slam, the combo here. Febiven does use ulti too, so there's a lot of cooldowns right now as Swift goes in, deals some damage. Like Febiven's half HP right now, and look at this dredge line that's gonna come out from Gamsu right here on V's teleport. That is a very, very, very brutal miss, because that would have put V inside that maybe triple man knockup, and then Doinb, the amount of time, 2.5 seconds from ulti, snare, 2.5 seconds from Zhonya's, and Uzi is just kiting just long enough for Doinb then to come out, combined with V in the backline to just complete havoc. Febiven out of mana. It doesn't matter if he escaped that fight. He couldn't do anything. Complete control here. Yeah, late game team fight goes to QG.
So it's QG. In fact, I think Doinb was wondering how he was going to get into the back line of Fnatic there, and Cly answered his question for him. So fortuitous for Doinb as well, but you could see that Swift had already done a fair bit of work here, and it looks like QG might want to secure this Baron area. Yeah, they're going to attempt it. They're going to try and get this one done here.
Well, Baron being started off. Fnatic not really in a position to compete with this one, so it will be a simple pickup. And that spells almost the end for Fnatic as they see that Baron buff start to pop onto everyone. They're going to try and peel off. What are they doing? What is Reckless doing? Running down the river, well out of position. They could peel off and completely cut him off here.
Yeah, they're heading to the bottom lane anyways. They want to keep that wave alive. Make sure that Fnatic doesn't push that out so they can buff it with the Baron minions. Push in mid top 2 at the same time. QG in that replay also took third dragon.
Still cutting him off here. Swift is taking a big chunk of damage. There's going to be the culling coming onto Forbidden. Spirit trying to tank that one out. Needs to just step around the side there. It has bought time for Reckless to get in position, but now this is a Baron up Xiaogu Reapers pushing in towards Fnatic. You can see the super minions already on the Nexus turrets, but now they're going to have to wave after wave after wave crashing against them for the next 2 minutes.
Yeah, and QG showing some really good mid to late game closing, something we have seen from them before in the LPL. Just happened to be that they kind of fell behind every single game from the 10-minute mark, 15, and then slowly started turning around by 20-25. This game, really, honestly solid closing. The 1-3-1 perfectly executed. Right now, though, it looks like they get double comboed here in the mid lane.
Well, more a little bit caught there, but maybe it's Fnatic who are caught yet again. You see Cly getting locked up in Spirit as well. Doinb wants to press forward on them here, but of course Swift is off to the side. This is more of a skirmish, but QG seem to have the mastery here. Reckless getting bursted down pretty heavily, and Kai gets a good knock-up, but where is the follow-up? V in the back line, and Reckless is trying to run for his life. He's not going to be able to get away, and this could be curtains.
Yeah, Gamsu, the final curtain is coming down in this first game. Spirit trying to draw them away from the Nexus turrets, but it doesn't matter. The Cullen even going to finish the job there. We were talking about Uzi's mistake early on in the lane phase, but he has absolutely made up for it. It was his Cullen that started things off in that mid-line exchange when Doinb went in, and it was a confident finish from there. 18-6 for the kills, big goal differential of 16k to end off, and of course, 2 Barons for ChiaoGu Reapers. They take it 1-0 in the first of this best of 3.
Doinb though, 5-0-10, 15 kills out of 18 was he involved in. Fantastic for not a single death on a champion that has to continuously dive the backline, which means his timing is immaculate. He knows exactly how much damage he can do, and he doesn't even die in the process. And then more 0-0-13 on that Braum too. We've seen him drop low a couple of times in these team fights, but begs the question, should Fnatic not just get rid of Alistar Braum for more? Maybe see if they can just camp the hell out of Doinb to keep him down.
Well, we're going to go towards our analyst desk to figure out what the hell Fnatic could do to beat these Chinese.
Well, that is the important question, but before we try to answer that, let's talk about this matchup. I've got a replay that I want to pull up immediately. It's after about 17 minutes in the game. I think let's try to summarize the early stages where Fnatic, they did fall a little bit behind, but they played the map relatively well. Deficio, I know you were talking about the fact that Fnatic got onto this inner turret, maybe without reply from QG, and then obviously the team fight that follows. Break it down for me.
Right, I mean, this is where QG still struggles when it comes to reading some of the side lane macro plays that a lot of teams are doing. They actually see Reckless push already way before this, and they don't react in time. They send Fiora bot lane. She has nothing she can do there. They need to have her top here to mirror exactly what Fnatic were doing so they can trade for a tier 2 themselves. That's where they fall behind. And then also Uzi being super greedy for farm. He's just seen 4 men on the bottom side, and he's just pushing out the lane. Fnatic waits for him and kills him, and this is just really poor map understanding from his team, but also, sadly for Fnatic, they don't gain really much more than this, and then a later kill on Spirit. They could have gotten more with this ulti from Spirit if that hit properly.
So, Deficio, while we watch this play out, what was your take of Fnatic's early game? Because after this, they actually had, they were even at 20 minutes on the clock. Earlier today when they played QG, they were down 2,000 gold. What do you think some of the reasons are for that?
I think so. This play kind of makes up for them actually falling behind in the start, because they took the 2v2 lane again against Uzi and more, and they were struggling in that one. And we saw another kill for Uzi early on in the laning phase. They also had 1v1 top Nautilus into Fiora, and yes, Nautilus can push Fiora, but you don't deny her any farm. So I honestly expected Fnatic to swap, keep Fiora down, but also dodge around that Uzi lane that has been an issue for them already.
Yeah, I think that's the big takeaway here is I think that to look at Clyde in this tournament, he's a brand new support. And to try to throw him in this international competition into Uzi is very presumptuous. And we saw, especially early, he was playing very cavalier, in a very cavalier fashion. When that first blood occurred, it was because Swift was just sitting in the river and he went in for a combo, which set up a kill and then started losing him that bottom lane matchup. So I think Clyde's been getting caught out a lot right here. And I think if you're Fnatic, you want to hide that weakness as best as you can. And you certainly do not put him into a lane, even if it is a winning one, against one of the best AD carries that has ever existed in League of Legends.
And also a Lucian Braum lane that are super, super strong in 2v2 into an Alistar. I'm also looking at this mid lane just to turn it over to QG. No Lissandra TP was super surprising. I actually felt like it gave Fnatic a lot of ways to play this game, because the way you want to play Lissandra LeBlanc matchup is you have teleport on Lissandra, corruption potion often, you fast push in early, you use all your mana to trade to force potions from LeBlanc, then you go back to base and you TP into lane, and then you can keep the pressure going, you keep the LeBlanc down. That's kind of out of the window when you don't run TP, and also you want to use it to hold the side lane later. When the blind actually has pressure, you want to just hold it, and then you can always TP flank with this Lissandra here.
Well, it wasn't relevant because the next replay that we're about to pull up is where Fnatic give the game away. Yeah. 21 minutes in, it's about a minute and a half after the previous replay had just ended, and Fnatic stick around, or maybe they shouldn't. Monty, maybe you start us off on this one as we roll the clip out.
Turret's really low here, obviously, coming through, and I mean, Fnatic, they want to take this one down immediately, but the engage, much more decisive there from QG, because they know they absolutely have to fight in this little skirmish, or else they're going to lose a lot more. Febiven just getting bounced around in the back right there. They're able to actually proc the Grand Challenge, run through it on the follow-up, but I think Fnatic just messed up. They had sufficient disengage there to try and deal with that, but it was almost like they weren't even anticipating that QG would engage right there with Lissandra.
Yeah.
And it was actually quite easy. It just looked like they weren't even ready for any kind of active play there from QG, even though, of course, they have the Gragas, they have the barrel, just to push them back and then take that mid lane turret. You shouldn't be surprised when a Lissandra goes in that situation.
And a few more things also. Reckless had used Flash earlier. Same kind of setup. Claw came in, he flashed, traded with the Lissandra. That to me actually tells me that Fnatic has to stop A-ramming mid, because if you do that, disengage will happen. And then Reckless can no longer push away very early.
Well, there's also counterplay to this, just straight up, because Alistar is very good into Lissandra.
I was just about to say this.
Because when you see the claw, you just stand on the claw.
And you Q.
And you just Q. And you just Q every time, even if you Q the air. So if you have your timing right, she'll come in, she'll just get knocked up, and you can just knock her out. You can kill her, do whatever you want to her. But she's not going to have an opportunity to even E-flash, because that's the danger, right, is that you give her a moment after she comes in on the claw to flash into your team. But if you're just standing there and waiting and timing that E right, slamming the Q at the end, so if she does follow it up before it times out, you already have her dead to rights.
And it's just been a lot more impactful having just saying it straight out, a weak support for Fnatic in these games here, because supports, when we have picks like Alistar and Braum, they can more or less decide team fights with proper use in the start. The way Moore is playing Braum, every time the fight starts, the way he's blocking, his ultis are great. And then this Alistar here, as you said, when you see the claw and your AD carry has no flash and he's basically right next to it, you have to just smack that Q instantly. He was even in position to do it.
Well, pull the replay up if we can, guys, because this is the final team fight where Fnatic, they get themselves a pick onto Swift. You think maybe something can happen, but the fact of the matter is they were just too far behind and maybe misplaced some of those moments. I was hoping for the replay. We're going to get played out. We're going to an ad break, and we'll see you after this.